Thanks for staying with us. So crisis erupted over the weekend at Shasha market in Ibadan, Oyo State. Though normalcy has returned, our guests will be bringing us up to speed as regarding the root cause of the alleged crisis. The purpose of this discussion is to seek and promote peace and not to heighten the inflammable situation. Joining us on the show now is the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Oyo State, Mr. Taiwo Adisa. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good to have you on the show. Very well. So many of us are quite worried. Many of us are quite worried about what happened in Oyo State, and we're happy that normalcy has returned. But it's important for us to go back to the root cause, because we don't want a ripple effect in other communities. We don't want people taking laws into their hands. Could you tell us exactly what occurred and how it started? How did it get to the point where houses and properties were being burnt?
Well, it was an unfortunate incident. There was a clash between Hausa and Yorubas in Shasha. You will know that that community has been a melting pot for all tribes for so many years. We were told, the eyewitnesses, a lot of eyewitnesses that we gathered information from, said there was a clash between an Hausa card pusher and a Yoruba young man who was trying to caution the card pusher not to rough handle a pregnant woman. And then the card pusher was said to have hit the Yoruba person with a ring, so to say. A ring, probably, we were told that it's a charmed ring, and then the person fell down and started foaming from the mouth. And that led to tension, the growing tension. And then eventually, unfortunately, the person died in the hospital, was confirmed dead in the hospital, and that escalated the tension. But we have been able to gather that that was just a trigger. There were some underlying issues in that market of issue particularly pertaining to leadership of that market has been an issue. Some people were told have been pushing for the relocation of that market because they don't like one leadership or the other, things like that. So they had underlying issues, then this acted as a trigger, and then the whole market, a large chunk of the market got burnt, and where some lives were also lost. So it's unfortunate. But the situation is calm now. The governor has gone there. He received solidarity from Southwest governors, his Southwest colleague, led by the chairman, came in solidarity to the governor of Oyo State, Governor Makinde, that they visited the spot. And I can tell you that normalcy has done a lot of activities.
All right, Mr. Adisa, what I would like to do what I'd like to hear from you as a follow-up is, have you identified the stakeholders in this, and have their grouse been addressed since this whole thing happened?
Yes, seriously, we have identified the stakeholders. We met, the governor met with the stakeholders till late in the night of yesterday. He told the market leaders when we visited that they should choose five from Yoruba side, 5 from Hausa side to meet with him. He later extended that to Sabu, Sabu is another community with huge presence of Hausas. So he has also extended that. He extended that to Hausa. So in the evening of yesterday, the meeting started at the government house, and it ended well into the night.
Okay.
And the issues have been resolved largely among the leadership. The leadership have been told yesterday to now dictate the message down to the communities of their membership. So they've started the peace talks right away from that yesterday. So the stakeholders are cooperating. I can tell you that they left the meeting at the government house yesterday with all the governors, the Security Council of the state, actually. They left the meeting happy, and they were actually clapping and holding hands. They actually have a picture that they took in unity yesterday.
All right.
So it's good to hear that a lot has been done to sort of try to resolve the issues. But really, normalcy can't return with the level of carnage that took place there if there is no form of proper that would go to those who have lost things. We can't, when we replace them, what will be done to deter this kind of things from happening again is where we prosecute. What is the government doing to fish out the elements that let this thing escalate? Because they will be able to identify those who set things on fire and then punish those people specifically. Because I don't think we can have proper normalcy until that is dealt with. What is the government doing to deal with those situations and prosecute those offenders?
Yeah, thanks so much, my sister there. You know, when trees fall on trees, you first of all remove the one on top, and before you can get to the depth. So the first thing is to say, let us calm the situation down. So the situation is calm. The police were not on holiday, even when this thing happened. So they were on ground, and the detectives have swung into action. I can tell you that a number of arrests have been made, and I can tell you that the prosecution will be swift, will be thorough, and the state will ensure that, yes, if we don't put a stop to this kind of unnecessary throw of emotion, unnecessary anger and all that, we cannot have a sustained economy and a sustained peace in the country. So we have to nip this in the bud.
Right.
Well, if it happens spontaneously as it did, we've got to get to the root of it, and we are getting to the root of it. The perpetrators will be dealt with according to the law. The combination of police was on ground fully all through yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, and up to the night, the meeting that held in the night. She was all on ground. All the other service commanders were also on ground. The army was also cooperative and all that. So the perpetrators will be brought to book account.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Mr. Taiwo, I would like to ask what sort of plans are you people putting in place to avert a future occurrence? Now, when this happened, it degenerated before any law enforcement was in that area. So how do you ensure that if anything like this wants to happen, the law enforcement is ready to stop it? Because it should be more about preventive and not just reactive. So what sort of plans are you people putting in place to ensure that this cannot happen again?
Yes, you know, why this happened to the extent that it happened is because of the nature of that market. The market is something that we probably started like the pidgin people would say, like play. I can attest to that, because right now, the homes of people have mixed with market. So there are residential areas, there are marketplaces, everything lumped together. That is the nature of that market. So it's difficult for people to really identify, oh, this is just a home of somebody, or this is a store or a warehouse. So that was the foundation for the crisis. Right now, efforts are already being made by the committee in the Ministry of Commerce to locate an appropriate space where the market will be moved to, where the ground there will be owned, and the entire store there will be owned by government. Only, the marketers will just be tenants. So that you won't have residents within the market area, such that when things happen, you won't be able to, the security forces won't be able to know whether this is house of somebody or this is a market of a market store or a warehouse. So the efforts are already being made to make sure that that market is relocated. In due course, the government will locate a place where everybody will have to move to, and so that you remove, you remove the warehouses and stores. You remove them from residential areas.
Right.
That's the last
Okay,
solution.
let me call a quick break, sir. When I come back, we'll continue this conversation with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Oyo State, Mr. Taiwo Adisa, with us. Mariam had a question for the break. Go ahead,
yes,
please.
so Mr. Adisa, this particular incident has been very shocking to a lot of people because of how long people there have lived together. And for me, I would like to understand, what are the grassroots interventions that have been there before, and what led to the breakdown that this could not have been handled before it escalated to this? Have you had that conversation? What are the things or people who are supposed to help in that community? when there's any, disagreement or conflict before it breaks down to this level?
Well, I will tell you that what happened, we cannot take it in isolation as if it's just a Shasha problem. The fact remains that the growing tension all across the country is permitting into different communities, one way or the other. Probably a victim in one place relocates to another place. The victim in another place is a brother to somebody, is a cousin to somebody, another. So the growing tension all across the country has a way in what happened, in what we saw in Sasha. The community ordinarily have been living peacefully within themselves. There have been no particular issues. The ballet of Sasha on the side of the Yoruba, I know didn't mention any particular breakdown. I had no issue. They just said that some persons.
Mr. Adisa, are you there? Okay, I think we're having... Hello, sir, we didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry, there was an intervention there. When we went to his palace, told the governor that he was sure that some person somewhere those wanted to find a way of terminating the market within his community to be let push the place and affect the economy of his area. But what I can tell you is that the harmony that was there within Nigerians, among Nigerians, had broken down. Generally, it's all across the communities. You hear of crisis in Benue, you hear of crisis in Ondo, you hear of crisis in Ogun, in Delta, everywhere. So that code generally at the level of the national level states, that's one thing that I would say will.
All right, Mr. Adisa, let me pause you for a second because you just touched on something very. Mr. Adisa, let me pause you for a second. You just touched on something very important because these communal clashes are not new, but because of the clashes we've been having in recent times, what can we do to educate Nigerians, help them understand that we've been living peacefully together, and this rough patch that we're in right now, that we can actually work it out amicably. Because so far, we don't want that thing to happen and to spiral out of control across the country. Nobody wants a war, between ethnic war. We've seen it in Rwanda, we've seen it in other countries. We don't want that here. So what can we do to begin to educate, especially those at the grassroots, middle level, and even the top class? Because the rhetoric we see in the papers also almost flame these things, inflame these things. So what can we do across board? Maybe educating people.
Well, okay. What we can do, I think the message, the solution will start first of all from the leadership. Both the topmost leadership and then to go down like that. The message has to come from leaders and the body language and the message have to align together to be able to see, for people to be able to see that we are running a united one country. When people see that ordinarily and it's taken for granted that where I can live in Sokoto, I can live in Zamfara, I can live in anywhere, and I will not be seen as a second-class citizen in my own country. And you also practicalize it at the level of government politics. They will be able to now communicate with education, with jingles at the level of radio, television, messages in the newspapers, messages in the media generally, and then actions of the political leaders. Right. You can't expect socio-political groups to be finding embers of a crisis, and then you think that the people who are most vulnerable, the people at the lower rung, you think that they will take that message, or they won't take that message as if it's their Bible.
Let me get a few more questions in for you, Mr. Adisa.
All right, Mr. Taiwo.
The leaders particularly have to pass messages that are responsible and have to pass messages that unite everybody.
All right.
Mr. Taiwo, I'm aware that the market has been shut indefinitely. I want to ask, was there an alternative, provided for the people who, the marketers, the market women and men who use that place for their means of livelihood? Did you provide an alternative? And how long will this shutdown be? Was that something that they can fall back on till it's reopened again?
Well, life, you have to first of all sustain life before you talk of whether you can sell something or not. A lot of the marketers say that they've lost everything, they've lost their wares, they've lost. So the anger is still there right now. So whether anybody will be able to eat, will be able to sell its ware or whatever, their wares are not even there to be sold. So there's no date as to when we are going to reopen the market. The government will be sure and reassured that there won't be any kind of ethnic tension or escalation, and that peace will sustain when the market will be reopened. But the first thing that we even have to do, because of the massive damage that was done to several stores. Now, if you open the market now, only a few people whose stores were not broken down or whose stores were not vandalized or burnt will come there. And then you leave a massive number of people who have been affected, you leave them in the cold. And that will also be a source of anger and a source of tension. So the government will look at all the parameters before we can come to conclusion as to when that market will be open. As to whether there is an alternative space. Right now, the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Commerce, they are looking at possible places where people can be moved to. But as to even allowing people to trade in that place right now, is a no-go.
Right.
So there's a question from Facebook. Someone was asking if the governor has visited the family of the slain man and what are the compensation plan for him. That's one. Number two is just in addition to what Murayo asked. We knew that, even the governor mentioned that the way the WhatsApp audios and videos were circling on people's phones, there's likely going to be attacks. That the atmosphere was tense for any community that had mixture of northerners and southerners, it was going to be a tense moment. What is the government doing now to go to all the other markets that have northerners and southerners, all those sabos in different communities, to create a peaceful coexistence already on ground and calming the tension so that we prevent damages before they happen? So those are the two questions I'm asking you, sir.
Well, the environment was tense in Shasha yesterday when the governor visited. A lot of the people just jump on the train and started following the governor to every point and other. So it reduced the location, the points that the governor could touch. So the governor was not able to touch the house of the slain man, but his brother was he was made to join the convoy of the governor. So the government has established contact with the family since that yesterday, and palliatives, whatever they are, we provided for the family some sort of succor. You can't buy life, can't bring back life, but some sort of succor will come to the family. As to what the government will do, I didn't quite get that question. There was an interference.
Oh, okay. I mentioned that there are many other communities, so many other Sabo-like areas where you have interactions between northern.
Yeah. I got it now. Yes, I told you earlier that the meeting initially that the governor called for yesterday evening was to be between leaders of the Hausa and Yoruba leaders in Shasha. But the governor immediately extended it to Sabo because there's a huge Hausa community in Sabo area of Ibadan. So that will not be the only meeting. That will not be the last meeting. It's a continuous thing. You remember that Oyo State also has a special assistant to the governor on community relations from the Arewa stock. And so he has taken it up. It's tough now to make sure that it brings the leadership together, and then whether it means some further intervention from the governor is ready to do that. So continuously, the peace meetings will be organized between Hausa communities and Yoruba communities, even between other tribes also. You also know that there's also a huge presence of South and Southeasterners also in the Southwest here. So all across the region.
All right, we need to wrap up now. Thank you, Mr. Adisa. Are you there? Okay, we have to wrap up. Thank you very much. We'll be speaking with the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Oyo State, Mr. Taiwo Adisa, who's given us information on exactly how the Governor and the government have handled the issue that happened in Shasha over the weekend. We only pray for peace because nobody likes war, and these are communal clashes are not new, but our job is to prevent it from happening in the future, and hope that all the stakeholders involved at some aspect have been calmed, and hopefully this won't happen again. Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, a legend left the building, and everyone has been celebrating. Stay with us, we'll be right back.